Hello guys, and welcome back to another Enshrouded guide, where today, having received a lot of requests to show how I built this particular tiered farming setup for the rice paddies, I'm going to show you exactly how I built it. So thank you very much for everyone who commented on that video and really enjoyed it and asked for more. Also, before we get started, I have set up a little test here because a few people have been saying that depending on the material type, it dictates how the water reacts. And so we have the well blocks, which you would expect is the best tier for water. Also the normal regular blocks, regular stone blocks, sorry. And then I think this is the refined wood as well. Now, the reason that I'm doing this test is because if we know water reacts differently with different materials, then we could make our build using those materials if it makes it more efficient. But we'll give this until the end of the episode and the end of the guide to see if anything changes. So for this build, we have our first set of foundations. It's this little wooden lip. This is where we're going to be able to run along. And we also want to have our drains here, which we'll get to shortly. Underneath this, you're going to want to place a wall across this section, and I'm going to use the normal regular blocks for this, just in case the different materials do react differently. This is what I've used in my build, and we're actually going to want it slightly closer. So I'm just going to build myself a little working platform for this, and you'll want to run this lip all the way along the end, and it needs to be 2 deep. Okay, so now that that section's done, the next thing that we want to do is to start placing our foundations. Now, this level of foundation is going to be where we place our farm soil on top of. So I'm just going to fill this in really quickly. And now that we've got this first level, I'm going to separate the sections so that we have 3 long sections. So from here, it would be 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to place a wall breaking this up. This is going to be just the small wall, and it needs to come up ideally to the same height as the lip. And we can delete those pieces. And then inside here, we're going to grab our farm soil, or fertilized farm soil in this case, and we're going to place it so that we have it level with the bottom section. So it's just placed on top, and that allows us to plant our seedlings here and also have the drain at this height. And that way the water won't fill any higher than this. And once you get to the end of this, you should have these little sections that look a bit like this. We're going to fill it up. This, funnily enough, totally unplanned, has managed to be perfectly aligned to the end. So pretty chuffed with that. And we're going to just fill this in with the farm soil again. If you don't have a lot of farm soil or fertilized farm soil, make sure to do a setup like the one I have over there, which I'll show you once I've done this. So this little section here is how I farm my soil. I use a rake to level it out, and then I just pick out what we need and then level it out with the rake again. And that way you have an infinite amount of fertilized farm soil, or the shroud soil, or farm soil, or even snow for that matter. And I need to do the same with all the new fertilized soils as well, but I need to find them. I'm still looking for the fertilized Nomad Highland soil, which some of you have mentioned is probably what the bell pepper needs. And I think there's also one for the Kindle wastes as well. But I highly recommend doing a setup like this. If you're interested in knowing more about this particular farm, I'll put a link to my farming guide in the description below, and also a card at the top. And same with the previous video as well. But now we're back at this. The next thing that we need to do is step it up. So each section is going to be essentially repeated just like this. So from here, you will grab the block that we were using before, and it needs to be at the same height as the fertilized soil that we have here. So we're going to run this all the way across now. Then we're going to, once again, step this up. And for this, we're going to have it too high. And then we're going to grab our fertilized soil once again and place it just on top. This creates the stepped stair kind of system. And you can repeat this several times. I'm going to do this for each layer now. And we're going to do it so that there are 4 layers, and we'll do a 5th step, which I will show you afterwards. At this point, you should have 4 layers of farmed soil stepping up, and for however many sections that you want. Now, the reason that I've done it in 1.5 foundations is that it seems to work perfectly with a single water dispenser. So that's why we only use 1.5. We could probably do more, but this worked the first time that I used it and I have kept it ever since. So from here, we're now going to do our final step. And we're going to run this all the way along. And we're going to also wall this in. And for this, I like to have a single wall on the end and then a wall either side of that. And so we're going to do the same here, the middle section and then the wall. Here we will have the middle section and the wall. We're going to do this for all of it. And then we're also going to run around filling up this section of wall. So the idea is that the water will be able to fill to this height when we're not using it. So once we've done this, we will start looking at getting the sluice gates. Should also mention there was some really interesting ideas in regards to how farming could be better implemented in Enshrouded after the last video. One that I really like the idea of is, given that we have ox or yaks, I can't remember what they're called, we should be able to use them to plow large swathes of the field and seed them, which I think is a really cool way to improve the amount of usage that we can get out of our tamed animals. And of course, a very common one is the ability to have farmers or even our citizens work on patches of land to produce the food for us. And I think that could work really well as well. One thing that I will talk about in a future video is how I think we could maybe get some kind of drill that is powered by force. And so depending on where we place our bases, maybe if there is a resource that's mineable in that base, providing we don't mine it out, we can place a drill on that and it will passively produce a small amount of resources, because the grind for doing builds like this is huge. You need a huge amount of resources, even with harvesting turned up, unless you do some sort of creative mode. I mean, this so far has taken 5,000 regular stone blocks to build. That's quite a bit of work for the ordinary person. Anyway, before I go on a tangent, we're going to head over to the alchemist to get those sluice gates. A few people have been wondering how to unlock the irrigation gate. I think it's unlocked once you do the mill quest and get the millstone, because then you can build the water wheel. And I think these are automatically unlocked, but you need to go to the carpenter for that. You need to make sure that you have found tropical wood, paper reed, nails and wood planks. If you're wondering where to find the reeds, you can find them all around the world now. For example, we've just jumped over to this area here, which is just across from the farmer's vault. And if we head down, this is new. They've added a load of new stuff to the world, which is awesome to see. I'm looking forward to exploring it all in a brand new playthrough at some point. Maybe we'll do a let's play. If you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comments below. And here we are. So there is a little patch of water, a little pond here. And we now have these reeds, which we can harvest if we have room in our backpacks. And so you can grab them. And if you haven't got them already, hopefully that will unlock the sluice gates for you. Outside of the base resources that we've talked about, the stone that we're using in the fertilized soil, we're also going to need the resources to produce these irrigation gates, and we're going with the large ones, so we do need quite a few paper reeds, nails, and tropical wood and planks for that. But you're also going to need iron, which is used to produce the water dispensers, or if you choose to go down the route of a natural looking one, then you'll need obviously steel, bars, iron dust, and that shell limestone. And we also need some wall drains, which also require iron bars. Okay, so we are back, and we're going to place these, and you can see how they just snugly sit perfectly between the walls that we have set up. So that's going to allow the water to flow through. So the next thing for us to do is to grab all of our water sources, and we're just going to place them opposite this section here. So along there into that point. It's just in the middle of the wall. Easier if we do it like that. And the great thing about this, or at least with the section over there, we'll find out if it works on a bigger scale, but with just a single one, I think you'll be able to fill 2 lines worth of water. So that could be really beneficial if you're looking to do a smaller build, but you can see this is all filling up nicely, and the water will not fill to, oh dear. And the great thing about this, as you can see here, is that the water will not fill above this section. So it will perfectly remain at this height until we open this, and the water will flow all the way to the bottom, fertilizing or ripening all of the seeds. And then when we're done, we can close that. And that way we don't have a field that's filled with water constantly. Okay, so the next thing to do at this point is to fill this with rice seeds. And the other thing is I like to have a little border around the actual farm. So you can run that along there. And then you get this nice little lip across the drain. And it's almost time for night. So I am going to fill these fields in with rice, and then we'll be back. I'm also going to do on the outer section, just so that everything stays where we want it, a wall at the same height as this. It's not necessary, as you've just noticed, but certainly having a wall 1 or 2 pieces higher could be beneficial. But I like to house it all in. I tell you what, it's taken forever to plant all of these, but I wasn't aware that you could hold left mouse click to automatically plant the seeds, which does make it a lot easier than spamming click, but we still have to press E multiple times when we're harvesting them, which is why I still think we need some kind of harvester or reaper in game that we can use. Right, I just need to wait for the algae now so that we can start working on that section. But before we get there, I'm also going to craft some of these scaffolds, because this is what I'm using in my farm over here to allow us to run all the way along so that we can pick these up. Yeah, we can close these as we go along here. And so the scaffold is really simple to produce. It's just some wood and some string. And all we're going to do is sink it using the fine tool into this. And the same with the next ones as well. And thinking about it, it might actually make more sense to, I was going to say, flip these around so that the walkway is actually along the outer edge and the little ladder to get out, if we need to, is in the center. No, I didn't mean to open it. Too late. Well, that's that field. I was going to do it all at once. Oh well. Okay, so this section of the farm is complete and ready to run. We've got a little staircase up to the top, and we'll probably do the same on that side. As I mentioned in the other video where we talk about this, it is a little overkill at the moment, but I do think they're going to bring in irrigation into the game. And using a system like this is going to allow us to automatically irrigate our farms rather than having to go individually and using a watering can. So that is why I have started doing this, and it works particularly well for things like rice at the moment. But we also have algae, which needs to be submerged, and you can do a system using sluice gates like this, or you could just submerge them, which is perfectly fine as well. So for this section, all I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to run foundations all the way along, and we want this actually to be lower than the section across from us, because what I'm going to do is build a sluice gate on this section as well, so that we can just flood this area as we wish, rather than do its own canal like I've done on the other side. And we can actually just do it up to maybe this section here. So first off, you want to place your lower foundation, and then you want to make sure that the gap in between is filled and you're not filling into this section. So as you can see, it's the same level as the floor that we've placed on the other side. Now what I'm going to do with this is have a wall opposite where the water dispenser is, so on the other side. And this is going to quarantine, I guess, or separate, probably a better word, each of these sections so that if we wish, or if they add more resources later on for us to farm, we can have a section for algae, a section for the new resources, and we have multiple options for that as well. Or maybe we'll have lots of uses for algae, in which case we can just fill this with algae. Now what I've done on the other side is, rather than have this as a walled off section, I actually have a staircase leading out of this. And that way we can just walk into the water and grab the resources without needing to dive in. Just make sure that you fill up any holes as you go, because otherwise it's going to leak. With this now filled, we have to fill it with our fertilized farm soil or whatever soil we will be using. And we place that once again on the bottom level. And if you want more space, you can obviously push these back. And then from here, we have once again two options. We can either have a sluice gate here, which we're going to try because I'm interested to see how the physics works out with that. Or the other option is you can grab your dispensers and just have them. I can't get to it. Well, that's problematic for me. I seem to have encountered a bug. Wait, is it just... No, it's not rotated the wrong way. I think I'm going to have to restart the game. I'll be right back. All right, that fixed it. So we have two options, as I was saying, in regards to this particular build. We can either place one of these and just fill it up to that section, and we can just leave it. Though, one thing to bear in mind is the amount of water dispensers that we have. I think there is a limit in game. I swear I saw one. Placed water sources. Yeah, so you can see down in the bottom left, we have up to 20 water sources. So I highly recommend limiting the amount that you have. So if possible, either add a sluice gate, or, which is just as efficient, would be to use a portable pump to suck water up, and then you can just dispense this into the individual sections. And providing you don't remove the water from your altar, then the water should stay there, and you won't have to worry about wasting the use of an active water dispenser. So in this case, given that they all want to be submerged, the algae buds, we're just going to fill these up manually. And of course, the final thing to do at this point is just to make sure you have a nice little walkway around so that you can easily access everything. This is just more for cosmetic purposes than anything else, but it's always nice to do that. Speaking of cosmetics and decoration, I am going to be doing a riverside village build soon, and we're probably going to break it up into individual sections of the build. So if you are interested in seeing that, it will be in the Vale Water Basin area, and make sure to subscribe. But this is now done. You can see we have got our algae buds all prepped, and we're now going to open up the sluice gates to let all of our rice start to ripen. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this build. I hope you found it useful. Do let me know if you're going to be using something like this in your build in the future. And I hope you found this video easy to follow. We just need to wait for some rice to ripen. Oh, there we go. Wonderful. Ripen, flourish, bloom. Regardless, it's now running as planned. And if we head over here, we can see that it does look like the different materials have slightly different effects on water. So the regular stone and the refined wooden block seem to have filled up quite well, whereas the well, though it's registering there is water in this section, it doesn't seem to go as far. So obviously something for me to experiment with a little more for a future video. But guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.